Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, John, it's Artemis 13. Actually, you
Who?
asked about the Oscar rant. I think I'm a little seconds
Oh,
off.
Anywho. Well, we're getting another call, but it's unknown.
Oh, awesome.
Well,
Fun.
yeah, but the unknown ones I can't. If I can't connect it, just hold tight. All right, hold on. And I fucking can't. Hello, who is this?
Hi, this is Kobe Brand.
Kobe Brand. What's up, buddy? Hey, when you called from the unknown number,
Yeah.
like you blocked it or something, it actually I can't join you to the conference.
Oh,
Think you can call from your cell phone or something, like to get you on.
yeah, I can do that.
All right, cool.
All right, I'll call you back. All right.
And then resume the conference. Hello. Oh shit. Okay. All right. That was Kobe
Hello?
Brandt. And he called
Okay.
from his blocked number, and so we're going to try to. I told him to call back on another number, so he'll be doing that in a minute. So what's up, Annie Vu?
I was going to talk about basically, well, what is your opinion? I know my opinion, basically, about the state of how pop culture kind of overshadows, politics, which it shouldn't, and that lately it's kind of, I think it was around, what was it, 2004, so, every actor had an opinion about the government and everything, and it's kind of fallen off. And it seems it's becoming more and more apparent to me that it's, with the whole Obama incident where, he's getting millions and millions of dollars from these people where, I just find it ironic that instead of actually asking the people and trying to go to the people for money and asking their opinions, he goes to Hollywood stars.
Well, now
Right.
he's
Kind of scares
calling.
me that-
I'm sorry, he's calling back on his unknown number again. It's he hung up. I think he realized he was doing that. Quick update too. Views on that video over there on VO 125 has been there for a month.
Right.
Yeah, whatever. Well, it's because I never let him know that I had put videos up, and I was supposed to do that in order for them to. They were going to feature them on the front page, but I just whatever. Fuck video. Far too lazy to do. Well, pop culture is an interesting thing because whenever politics are on the front page of everything, then that within itself becomes pop culture.
Definitely,
Right.
yeah.
And then pop culture of things like the Oscars and Britney Spears become kind of sidestepped until Britney Spears does something that a politician would do, which is lash out at somebody for no particular reason and attack
they
them
always
with an
do
umbrella.
that. But that's like just to gain sway with, the masses, oh, this is bad, and I say it's bad, so therefore I must be a good person,
Yeah.
when...
Well, yeah, it makes you feel better about yourself when you're not doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, teenagers and kids are very impressionable, so they see it as,
Right. Right.
it's acceptable behavior simply because such and such does it. It's the same kind of thing. And,
Right.
and
It was like that. That reminds me of that episode of South Park where they had Paris Hilton on, and
That's
it was
hot.
becoming a trend to be the silly, stupid whore.
That's
thing.
not hot.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah. Well,
Paris
the
Hilton
thing is, they
impression.
ranted and went on the whole episode how everybody was, making fun of the fact that women were saying, "Oh, well, it's empowering to be a silly, stupid whore and everything."
Right.
No, watch the episode. It's one of my favorites because
Hold
she kidnapped
on.
Butters to make her pet.
Hold on. He's calling back again on the unknown number. Hold on. Mr. Brandt.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm great. I still can't get you to the. It's still unknown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. This number shouldn't be blocked at all.
Uh,
The other one is automatically blocked because it's a business line.
well, what I don't understand is why it won't let me join an unknown number to a conference. This is maybe. Hold on a minute. See, it won't let me even add. Maybe if I listen. If I get your number,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
add it to my contacts and then call you.
Sure.
All right. Send that to me in an email, and we'll try to get you on real quick.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I'm sorry. It's a technical thing, and it's happened before, and it made me hang up on everybody before.
What's the email address I should send it to?
It doesn't matter. I'll get them.
Either one, the 26th of July?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. I'm back.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That is putting a big roadblock in the show, but I wanted, because he's Kobe Brandt, the guy that writes articles, for the 26 July website.
Yeah. Go ahead. That's perfectly correct.
But what was going on?
No, I was just talking about how lately it's become, and it's a reversal because, it's young Hollywood now that's making all these crappy decisions and doing all these messed up things and, showing up drunk and, people are like, oh, well, that's horrible. But, that was happening years ago. I mean, every 20 years it seems to come around with this new set of so-and-so, young Hollywood seems to set the trends for everybody being an idiot for the next 15 years.
Well, think about it. Think about it from this angle, talking about like politics and pop culture. Think about like politics being the example that is set for adults, because adults they're kind of over their pop culture phase, but then it becomes a pop culture of personality in these politicians and who do you support and whatnot. And you may be a fan of Elvis or whatever, but you're supporting Clinton or you're supporting McCain or whatever, and so their antics go under the radar to you. A McCain fan disregards the fact the guy's a fucking liar. But then, and so just like a teenager disregards the fact that Paris Hilton's a whore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, not to get off the subject, but it's kind of funny how basically everybody in the media, even Hollywood, is trying to jump on Bush now when they should have been jumping on Bush in 2000. And now it's become his thing to kind of mock Bush and make fun of Bush.
Where are you seeing that? Because I've kind of seen it as a trend. I think somebody's been murdered next to Sally's house again.
Yeah, it happens often, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a trend recently because of all the presidential nominations or candidates and whatnot that people have actually kind of forgotten about Bush.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in my last video at the end I just kind of threw in, in other news, Bush continues to scuttle the ship.
Well, it's kind of, I don't know, I guess they're busy on, I guess everybody has come to the realization, whether they want to or not, it's public knowledge that Bush is an idiot. So
yeah.
Now they're more focused on, all right, I'm not an idiot, I'm not Bush, look at me.
But should we really parlay the fact that, he's still president, though.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, because, we've well established he's an idiot. That doesn't mean move on and start thinking about what's coming next, because we got two more years with this fucker.
Right, exactly. That's what kind of scares me, the fact that, this guy's still going to be in office for 2 more years, and you're too worried about, who's the next up.
That's hot.
2 more years.
That's not hot. That's hot. That's not hot.
It's kind of the same thing.
It's exactly what it is.
Bush is political Paris Hilton.
Sure, but news media tends to kind of take on the example set by some of these people. You look at, the mindset of the media, which is, we don't pay that much attention to what's going on now, and we kind of go with the flow. We support this person now because it's beneficial to us, whatever. And that's kind of McCain.
Mm-hmm.
McCain's whole or the general politician, your prototypical politician. That's their whole direction is to just address this now, and then later on we'll address something else, and it may be contradictory, but who cares because nobody remembers. And then you've got like the other part of the media, like pop culture media, kind of that's hot, that's not hot, which is what Paris Hilton does.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so you see an emulation from these cult personality kind of people that it just emulates itself into the news media. So then you get an exponential or a reciprocal system in which people get drawn more and more in, and that just becomes the standard norm of the way you're supposed to act or whatever, you know?
Well, I don't know. I
That's
guess
awful.
it kind of depends on. Well, it kind of depends on the area of the country. I mean, it's kind of regional. I've noticed. I mean, there's always sex within just states themselves, but it's become apparent that it's like, I don't know. I'm just afraid of everything becoming where it's cool to be political just for the sake of being political. I don't have to actually say anything important or know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I know about politics makes me cool.
All right, check this out. I'm going to ring Kobe and see if I can get him on the conference, all right?
Okay.
And I think it's going to work. Here it is. It's connecting. It should be there we go. Blurring.
Thank God he doesn't have a ringback tone.
Blurring. It's going to pick up in a minute. The voicemail.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
You're on the air with everybody else.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Sally. I thought I heard a couple of other people.
Yeah, there's me and Sally, obviously, and then there's Antivu13 from the chat room in here as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not even sure what you're talking about. I was messing around with
Yeah, me too. So I was just kind of giving them lip service while I was trying to get your number in and get you called. So I don't even know what the hell I was talking about.
We were talking about pop culture and politics and how they sort of play off each other, which they do. And
I think my point was that there's politics seems to be an adult pop culture, whereas Paris Hilton is a teenage pop culture, and the Olsen twins, for some reason, even though they're like 20, is still a child pop culture thing. So it's a little weird.
That's because they've built the masses with billions of dollars of brainwashing.
Yeah, well, they are hot though.
People actually do buy those crappy, video games they come out with.
I know, with
It's
video games
frightening
and
in itself.
movies, and it's amazing because
They
who's
built
the
an army.
Who's the audience out there? It's like, who the fuck is buying this crap?
I used to buy it.
They're in hiding.
We just found one.
You're busted.
You like
Wow.
the Olsen twins?
Yeah, when
Wow.
I was a tween, when I was like 11, I loved the Olsen twins.
This wasn't that long ago, Sally. Don't.
Yeah. They only just recently went the Paris Hilton route.
Well, I've never seen a Olsen twin movie.
They're so cute.
Then you're a lucky man.
They were cute when they were about 5.
Yeah.
When they were like on a Full House.
They grew up.
Well, yeah, and then some of the movies got like, I don't know, they got more adult-ish, but
Oh,
I mean,
yeah?
the little ones are cute. The little ones.
Where's the Olsen twin sex tape?
Oh, it's coming. You know it is. Watch, because you haven't heard about them in a while. Watch.
Yeah.
You haven't heard about them in, 2 years? Not since they turned 18 or whatever?
Yeah, they're probably in college or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely a sex tape.
Or out enterprising. Clothing line and all that other nonsense.
Really.
So what's going on with you, Kobe?
Well, yeah, I was listening before. I was very interested in the conversation about Ed Brown and the tax honesty movement, and I've been following that very closely, as John knows. And with Ed Brown out in New Hampshire, I mean, basically, they're millionaires. His wife is a dentist, and apparently she just rejoined him in New Hampshire against court orders, and they're in a standoff, kind of similar to Ruby Ridge, but the authorities aren't really going after him right now because of their they don't want any confrontation for obvious reasons. They want to deter him to another reason. But as far as what Aaron's been saying and a number of other people. Something that most people don't understand. I put this on my site, on my channel.
By the way, Kobe Brandt does have a channel. Just it's youtube.com/user/Kobe Brandt, as it's spelled on the website here.
Well, thanks for the plug. But there are the common misconception with people that they don't understand about the full income tax and what the tax honesty movement people are saying is that there's no statute that actually requires someone to pay a tax. So you hear them say, "Where is the law? Where is the law?" Well, in order to have a law, you need a statute, and the contention is that there is no statute that requires someone to actually file a federal income tax return. And it was, when a bill goes before Congress, it's a mandate to create a law, but it's not actually the law itself. And technically what you need in order to have a law is a statute. Once they pen the statutes, there was a team of lawyers that actually pen the statutes. And then they, from those statutes, they derive regulations. They publish those in the Federal Register. To let people know what they are. So apparently they never created an actual statute that requires someone to file a federal income tax return.
Right.
And what the tax honesty movement has been asking almost a decade now. And the person really at the forefront, he's more hidden than Aaron. He's worked in the background and has gotten almost no media attention whatsoever, except for a little bit of C-SPAN coverage. His name is Bob Schultz, and he has an organization called GiveMeLiberty.org, which is about a 60,000 member organization. Currently, right now, he's sitting one step before the Supreme Court in the District Court of Appeals in Washington, where the We the People Foundation, which is his organization, filed a lawsuit. And it's not a class action lawsuit, but there's 1,700 plaintiffs listed on that lawsuit.
Right.
And about to make a decision, probably sometime February, probably sometime in March. So it's coming very shortly. And either way that they rule on this, the thrust of the petition, or the thrust of the lawsuit, is a right to petition. Is based on the right to petition.
Right, address grievances. And I think the interesting thing that breaks up, like you said, a win or lose situation is not really present because the statute still isn't on the books.
Yeah, there's no statute that actually requires you to pay a federal income tax. I mean, since the Internet's come about in the last 15 years, everything is searchable, so you can actually search for things. Whereas before, you'd have to go through thousands of pages to actually, try and determine and cross-reference to see, the way the tax laws and tax codes are written. I mean, basically, they've kept asking over time in these cases that they won, where is the law? Where is the statute that actually requires someone to pay a tax? And what people don't understand is that the federal income tax courts are rigged, basically, against anybody coming in. I mean, the federal judges are complicit that are in the federal tax court system, play along with the so it's pretty convoluted, but I mean, it basically boils down to a simple question: is there a law or isn't there?
Right.
This is the answer. Yes, this appeals.
Losing you just a little bit.
Yeah.
We're getting it, but it's kind of coming in and out on us.
I was reading on this message board, this forum thing, that Ed Brown is offering $1 million in property, in land, to anyone who can show the law that the income tax law.
That was
There's
on
been similar offers.
that one documentary. That was on the one documentary that, didn't you have that on the site, John?
Freedom to Fascism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it's from?
Which is free to see on Google Video right now, by the way.
Yeah, he made that statement on the movie, I believe. I'm not sure.
Oh, I didn't. So,
I don't think Ed Brown was in that movie.
No, Ed Brown
There
was.
was mention of it. I'm not sure.
There's been other people before. I think it was Charlie Bell, who is I think he's a lawyer, made the offered, or Larkin Rose, I'm not sure which, actually offered like $50,000 or $100,000 to anyone that could actually produce the law.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then there was an IRS agent that actually went after it.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Shirley something.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and she couldn't find the law, and then she joined the tax honesty movement. After that, after she searched for 2 years trying to find the law and get answers, and couldn't find the law, so she basically joined the ranks of the other side. And then they're probably the most famous tax honesty person. There is, and most honest one out of them all is, besides Bob Schultz, is, oh gosh, what?
Everything coming together all right over there?
It's an ex-IRS criminal investigator, and he's been on national news before, and you saw that in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very convoluted, but it basically boils down to that simple question. And I mean, they've been pushing the government to actually answer the question for many years now.
Which
and
is
it's coming up to a head now between Ed Brown and the lawsuit coming in to the Supreme Court. Because no matter which side wins, it's going to go to the Supreme Court.
right, and that's a win-lose kind of, and so it's different approaches, which is kind of why I made the statement earlier. I didn't necessarily align with Ed Brown and his methods, simply because it causes that standoff, and that's not good for any cause, for that kind of publicity, because it brings up the obligatory Timothy McVeighs and stuff like that, and you got the crazy neo-Nazis that want to just rally to something because they're so marginalized now. But but then that's why I also said I would join a cause if there were this large number of people that were willing to kind of take a certain directed action, rather than just simply asking a question like "Where's the law?" Which I stand behind and say, "Hey, I'd like to see the law too," and a lot of people would, but it would, I think, make a bigger impact if those people got together, not only refused to pay their taxes, but said, "Hey, where's the law?" And we're not paying our taxes, by the way, and we're enjoying it.
Well, there's over 6 million people in the United States that don't pay taxes.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's not like there's, everyone's paying their taxes.
But are they organized?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. But I mean, with Bob's organization, Bob Schultz's organization, GiveMeLiberty.org, We the People Foundation, they are very organized. And again, they've got 60,000 people in this organization. And they have held taxes. And they're, again, they've 1,500 together in a lawsuit. And again, it's not a class action suit. Those are individual plaintiffs. All
which is more effective, I think. We're losing you again. Every time we talk, your phone's always coming in and out on me.
Let me move around because I'm in kind of a remote area here.
Oh, you're in the compound?
Yeah, I'm in the compound. That's right.
Anytime they tell you, such and such at their compound, it's not good.
Yeah.
It can be like a house in a neighborhood, but it becomes a compound as soon as somebody has a gun.
That's right.
And then it shows them walking in slow motion, on the news and stuff. They've done something wrong.
Moving in all the artillery, the 250s up on top of the 50 calibers up on top of the tank or whatever. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's these people don't want to deal rationally with the issue. I mean, they basically want to pull out a club and beat people into it and intimidate and extort people. And I think that's what people have a problem with.
Right.
They don't want to sit down and talk about it. They've been offered several times. Bob Schultz's organization has held, like 3 or 4 National Press Club meetings. The government refuses to attend each one. So, I mean, it's pretty bizarre.
Deniability. Of course they're not going to go.
I'm sorry? Yeah, of course not, because they know...
As long as they don't go, as long as they don't acknowledge it, they don't have to do anything about it.
Yeah, it would be dignifying it.
Yeah, they aren't going to dignify it, and but I mean, they're keeping the mass media down on it. But I mean, the blogosphere has been covering it pretty extensively. So I mean, people know what's going on, but it's just not a mass awareness.
Well, I'm over here on their givemeliberty.org website right now, kind of flipping around, and of course, the number one thing is when you go to home, it says sign the petitions for redress of grievances. And there's the petition of redress regarding immigration, which would be interesting. I can only imagine what they put in there, but I'm probably right in saying that, to obviously free up immigration and major immigration reform for expedited naturalization. I would hope that they're going for that, because that was actually in the Declaration of Independence. And then,
well, I mean, I think what they're asking is just to enforce the existing immigration laws. In other words, not allow a flood of illegal immigrants over the border. And also, there's an NAU petition in there for the North American Union, the SSP, is it?
Right. SPP. Yeah. I see that petition for redress regarding the North American Union. And let's see. Petition for redress regarding federal income tax, regarding the Federal Reserve, regarding war powers clauses, regarding the U.S. Patriot Act.
So, I mean, it covers a lot of bases there. So, I mean, they filed these petitions. It's been very respectful all the way through since, like, 1996 or 97, I think. I think they presented the first petition to Bill Clinton, to Bill Clinton's office. In 2000, I believe. So, and to all 435 congressmen, senators, and Republicans, personally, and from each of their constituencies. I think they had 2 representatives physically hand them. And it's very. They've surpassed any kind of criteria that you could think of for a respectful petition.
Yeah, I'm seeing it the way they've got it listed and worded here. It's not. I mean, here, do you admit that under, this is number 32 on the USA Patriot Act, do you admit that under the President's November 11, 2001 Executive Order on Military Commissions and the Defense Department implementation procedures, detention could be set for an indefinite period of time? The answer to that would be yes. Do you admit that under the President's November 11, 2001 Executive Order and the Defense Department's implementation procedures, military could apply to U.S. citizens and those lawfully present in the United States? Which is true. I mean, it's clearly a...
I mean, they've structured just a list of questions. It's just, do you admit or not?
That's what... Well, they make the proclamations and then the questions as a grievance. And so, they've done it absolutely correctly. And just from what I've skimmed over, it looks like, well, of course, this is a grievance that falls under the category of the right to redress grievances, and this one, if they were to redress this, then the Patriot Act would simply go away.
I mean, since it's unconstitutional to begin with,
right?
Or major portions of it are.
Mm-hmm.
And Alberto Gonzalez was involved in the writing of that, along with, I think, the Assistant Attorney General at that time, who was John Ashcroft.
Right. Well, everybody knows that many of these, like the military commissions and Uniform Code, were deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, but Bush pushed them through anyway. So
Well,
it's
I don't think it's actually gone up before the Supreme Court, not the Military Commissions Act.
no, but they were reviewed by. It wasn't a ruling. They just said this is unconstitutional. We won't agree.
Oh.
Just from what I heard along some pipeline somewhere.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm sure that they had advice from the DOJ, Department of Justice, but it's the nice thing about when they pass unconstitutional legislation or any kind of illegal legislation is it takes years and years in the courts to actually overturn it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to battle. You're wasting people's lives, wasting people's time, in undoing something that should have never been done in the first place.
Right.
It's a perennial problem that to exist in the judicial system. But the idea that Congress and the president can be complicit in coming off to what they know is paving a constitutional nation, that's a travesty.
Yeah, it is. Let me ask you guys a question. I'm going to have to go ahead and close up the show here, so just for continuity purposes. We can come back and talk some more if you like. But I just want to ask, why does everybody wait till like the last 15 minutes of the show to call?
Who, me?
Well, everybody, because Andy would call right before you.
I thought the show was at 10 tonight, but I tuned in about 8:10, about 10 after 8. I just took a look over at your channel. I saw the broadcast on, and then I remembered it's 8 o'clock on Sundays.
Yeah.
So, but I had a couple other things I had to do, so I was in and out. So I just got really timed to call.
It's okay. It's funny because I think a lot of people on YouTube that listen, they think, well, it's just John and Sally talking for 2 hours, and then they'll listen to an hour and a half and be like, and then at like 1:45 mark, people start calling, and this happens like every show.
Well, I had tried to call in before, I think a couple shows ago, I forget when, and it wasn't working. So I'm always a little apprehensive of maybe it's not going to work or whatnot. But I actually was surprised I got through because it kind of looked like a whole bunch of people were going to, because somebody mentioned in the chat about calling in and the whole, I can always find something to talk about. So I was like,
Well, do it. I mean, that's the whole
Right.
show is open phone lines. Hey,
I've got something to talk about.
From minute one, I've got open phone lines. In fact, I mean, it's 24/7. You can call me anytime. As a matter of fact, I love having it that way. And I got the number on YouTube because I get some of the weirdest calls.
You have to make a video of this.
Just
keep the weirdest calls that you have and just put them as a compilation at the end of the year or something.
Well, it's hard to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Without running my laptop all the time and just being having everything queued up, because it's like
I'm sure you've gotten a drunken phone call once or twice.
I don't know if they were drunk, but just last week
it might have been something else. You never know.
I was on the phone with somebody, and then I got another call. I was like, well, hang on a minute, and I answered. I was like, hello is from an unknown. Somebody blocked it and thought maybe whatever, I don't know, and then I was about to hang up on them, and then it went, somehow the screen got flipped, because it's a computer phone, and the screen got flipped over to the call I was already on, and I ended up hanging up on them, and I was still on the phone with this unknown person, so I was like, God damn it, and it's like 45 seconds into the call, I'm like, God damn it, dickhead, you just made me hang up on somebody. And they're like, they sat there for a minute, they go, I'm sorry. I was like, yeah.
Randomly.
Yeah, and I was like, well, what the fuck?
You have a stalker. That's stalker mentality right there.
Well, it was just like, and then they're like, well,
they're heavy breathing?
No, they weren't doing, it was nothing. And so I was like, well, are you going to fucking talk, or did you just call just to listen to me fucking struggle with my phone? And they're like, what, this is Mexican? And I'm like, yeah? Who the fuck do you think is going to answer my phone, And they're like, well, that's pretty ballsy of you putting your phone number. I was like, what are you going to do, call and talk me to death? So they're like, well, okay, I guess so. Thanks for talking to me. I was like, whatever. And they're like, well, I'll talk to you later. I was like, sure. Call back anytime, you fucking fruitcake.
I actually want to commend you on that because most people wouldn't do that. And then, you're right. What is somebody going to do? Talk you to death? I mean, I think a lot of people are afraid of just who they'll come in contact with if they get,
Yeah, but
large enough.
what are they
I
going to
should
do?
do that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
You get you
How
an
much does
internet.
it cost to get like a Skype number?
Well, you can get the Skype out, which is $29.95 a year, and that's free calling USA, Canada, unlimited, and you pay $4 a month for the telephone number. And so overall, over a year, it turns out to be $78 a year. And
That's pretty good.
oh yeah, it's a fraction of any other phone service. So, and it's obviously crystal clear, and you can hold conferences or whatever. It's far superior to any phone service. So yeah, do it, and it when you call people, it gives them 012345 as your phone number, and it's whatever. Just put your phone number. Let people call.
Yeah, I saw the 000 area code.
Yeah. Total blank.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah. So,
Imaginary person.
So you guys want to hang on, or I mean, I think
I
Sally
have to
wants
go
to
to
go.
sleep.
Yeah, Sally's got to go.
Yeah.
No? Hey, Sally, I wanted to tell you, I really enjoyed your video. I took a look at it. Your most recent video?
The one with the clouds and stuff?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
thank
really
you.
It was mellow. I just mellowed out on it.
Well, me too. I made a comment. I was like, "Good job." That was a really good video.
I haven't
Thank
seen that
you.
yet. I should go see that.
It was. Sorry.
But I'm out of it. I need to go see that now.
Yeah, there's
really-
obviously Sally's name on YouTube is Spots1327, which is very cute, and
So Sally-like.
So also very tough to remember.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But
I can never remember which spots.
I'll throw a link up again to her on this video whenever I'll get it posted tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I didn't know, Kobe, I didn't know that you did, I didn't know that you had a channel or anything, so I have to go check that out, before I pass out.
Well, for ease of finding it, just go to my channel and look at who I'm subscribed to, and he's on there. It's Kobe Brandt.
Okay, well, I guess since we've been on air for an hour and a half,
We've been
or
on
2
air
hours,
for 2 hours.
2.5 hours,
Yeah.
I guess.
We have to check and
it's
see if
two.
your video's online yet.
Yeah, what the hell is up?
It's
Yeah,
not,
hold on.
it's
I'm
not
checking. Checking. It's not on?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
I'm not seeing it.
Nope, it's not on. That really was.
Oh, well, now wait a minute. I've got one that says live because I uploaded it. It's live on one of them. I've got one of them live, but then I don't know why it's got it on there twice because I deleted one of them.
Okay, that's really weird.
All right, what I'm going to do is post a link in the room for everybody to go over and look at because apparently it's not showing up on my YouTube page. So anyway, all right. Well, this is the close of the show, I guess. Anybody want to come back or?
I wouldn't mind.
Okay, Gobi.
What do you mean, come back? Oh, you mean after?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I was going to hang out for a few minutes.
Oh, I'll hang on for a few minutes.
All right. Well, for everybody else, this is the end of the official broadcast. We'll be back, but what I'm going to do is, and let me give you guys a little rundown. Whenever I play music, be quiet. Otherwise, you'll hear yourself back into your ears. So I'll just play a song while I'll take a little break, and then we're going to let Sally go. And so good night, everyone, and thanks for listening. Cue Sally.
Good night. Bye.
Oh, all right, and
Bye.
and we'll be back kind of, but this is the end of the official broadcast, 26 July Radio and all that crap. And why did she mute? She just muted herself. What are you gonna do, Sally?
And the window is going slow. Okay, bye.
Okay, now she's gone. All right, so
Now we can.
well, we're gonna play a song, and this is the end of the official broadcast. This is where I go, bah humbug, but right after I find a song to play.
Okay.
Yeah. So what the hell should we?
Well, I was going to bring up something, actually. Something interesting.
Well, you can do that. I got to end the show, man.
Okay.
I'm trying to terminate.
What should I listen to? By the way, you won't be able to hear it.
So it really doesn't.
Oh, no, that.
Yeah, well, I'll pick some Rolling Stones just because it's
Yeah, that works.
yeah, it's a good old.
Yeah, that's.
I'll turn my headphones out so you might be able to hear them a little bit.
Right.
All right, here we go, and this is the end of the show, and everybody, thanks for listening, and blah, 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 Atlanta, bah, humbug. We've heard enough of the song. It's just for the break off to where I fade the music out and all that crap.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And stuff. So we're back. We're on the air and everything. This is just where it all falls apart, and I'm not worried about,
Right.
I still can't get into the chat room. It's sporadic. Once in a while, I can get in for a couple of minutes, and that's about it.
The chat room's bipolar. It's
Pardon?
bipolar.
Yeah, it takes a crap from time to time.
Yeah.
No, I mean
It's
it's probably on my end.
I think so too, because you've told me that before in a redress of grievance, and there's just simply nothing I can do though. It's out of my hands. I'm like some senator from fucking Wyoming.
Actually, before when I was on the chat, I mean, I was torn between listening to the actual broadcast and participating in the chat, and actually, I get more out of just listening to the broadcast. So it's probably a good thing in a way that I don't get distracted.
Yeah, to each his own. You can always go back and listen on YouTube whenever I get it posted.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone back and listened to a couple of them that you put up. So usually, I mean, they're pretty interesting. I mean, you cover a wide variety of topics.
That's simply because nobody fucking calls till the last 10 minutes or so. And actually,
Yeah.
the funny thing is a lot of times they wait till after the show. It'll be like,
Yeah.
we'll end it and then we'll come back and talk for a few minutes and then they call. And it's like, you know what? Like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, it's like, variety, man. I mean, we talk about anything. You know?
I think I think people, they aren't sure what you're going to talk about. And they're trying to listen in and try and get an idea of, where the flow is going. And
There's also a delay.
They're hesitant, maybe, in actually calling to break up the flow.
Well, but there's an ebb and flow, so it's like you call and you might disrupt the little flow, but I can follow it.
You can make it.
Somebody has something else that, you got another idea, whatever. I mean, because I do the damn show twice a week. I mean, I got plenty of time to sit here and talk.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
That is true.
Now, something I was going to bring up is I'm a college student, and I have to every 6 months apply for a new FAFSA. And once you are over the age of 22, if you enter into a FAFSA, you have to do your taxes, which is really, really well. If you apply for a FAFSA after the age of 22, where you can't be declared a dependent anymore, you have to file for taxes, which is really, really absurd for somebody like me in a situation where I know, the truth about the federal income tax, being forced to pay that anyway, just so I can get some money off.
Just so you can go to
college. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, I feel sorry for students right now because, with the increased tuition costs and the inflation of education has been incredible.
Right.
And, people are getting out in horrible debt. I mean, they're placing a terrible burden on them. And, with the wage situation declining and everything else, it's creating new debtor population, which is great for the banks. I mean, the whole student loan program, all that other nonsense, is great for the banks, great for the government, and bad for students. So it's really a pitiful situation on the education side right now, the way I see it.
Well, that's been a trend overall, is everything's become better and better in banks, to be a banker. And even now, I was reading an article the other day about there's the big three banks here in Atlanta, SunTrust, and I don't remember the other two, it don't matter, but that they're kind of being marginalized by local carriers like Regions and United, and kind of smaller. There may be 5 or 6 branches off of this one little bank, and so it kind of sounds good at first read. You're kind of like, oh well, they're beating the big banks. Problem is that they're offering exactly the same service, but they're able to say, hey, free checking, free this and free that. But as it turns out, I mean, if you look at the banking structure, they're still fucking banks. So all it means is that there's more people out there making your money.
Yeah.
It's just kind of spreading the wealth a little bit more, and it doesn't work in your favor to be at any particular bank.
The bankers always win. I mean, this is the way it's set up. And that one video that I have on my channel, and also that you've seen, Money Banking in the Federal Reserve by Mises Institute.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they discussed that a little bit. How the banks have basically had the formula down since the 17th century on how to make money from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this has been around a long time, and I think this is where all this resistance is coming up now to the Federal Reserve and everything else. People are becoming aware of it. They become sophisticated. You get the internet to transmit the information, which of course they're trying to quell right now. They're trying to put a lot of roadblocks in on the internet to stop people from transmitting information.
Mm-hmm.
Now that people are becoming aware of this, suddenly the government starts to get much more oppressive because people are onto what they're doing. So
yeah, and then it comes down to like litigation with the government, because people are going with their grievances obviously to the government, but ironically, like the Federal Reserve System is not a government-controlled entity. So how many roadblocks can you possibly hit?
Well, I mean, as far as what? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying, is that in itself is the biggest, like a huge fucking roadblock. If you have a problem with the banking system and you go and try and get it straight with the government basically says, oh, well, we have nothing to do with that. It's Federal Reserve. They're separate from us. But then when it comes down to not paying or respecting taxes or whatever, then the government comes down on you, even though it's illegal. So they play that two-faced card.
I mean, it's a corporate government merger, and I mean, it's basically a banker government merger because the bankers are the heads of the corporations.
Right, and what I'm saying is that basically the government is in a position to play two sides of the card, basically saying, oh, well, we have no responsibility over this. However, if you choose to try and get out of it, then we have every right to come down on you for it because you're breaking a law or a supposed law.
We're going to enforce the laws that were imposed by the banking industry, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Or the heads of the leaders of the banking industry, like David Rockefeller, is a prime example. I mean, he's the one that started up the Trilateral Commission, which I'm sure you have some familiarity with.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on the Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR, and so on. So, I mean, he's very much a centerpiece of a lot of what's going on right now. I mean, it's power behind the scenes. Basically, I view Bush as he's a puppet. I mean, he's the figurehead, and he's being jacked around essentially or manipulated by the money interests out there. And I mean, this is the way it's always worked. It's not like this is anything new.
Well, sure, and it works that way, in from my perspective, to some degree, and I do see it that way. It's just that when it comes to, and of course, it still works that way, and when it comes to war and war profiteering. But then you get to the bad political decisions, which he can be held personally accountable for. And but these people, the people that are behind him, are master strategists, and they're able to actually make money off of his bad decisions that he made completely independent of their control. So either way, they win.
Either way it goes, yeah.
Right. Well, you also have to think that that's been nothing new in terms of manipulation of the president. I mean, it didn't start with Bush. It's been like that for a while. It's just become extremely apparent with him because of, the realization by the public that, well, they make money off his mistakes as well as, his triumphs. So, it's been brought to light. But manipulation of the president has been nothing new. I mean, going back to, even Lincoln, I'm hearing stuff of just, reports every now and again of, who were trying to manipulate him in certain situations to try and get him to do things. I mean, it's always been like that. Corporations always want to run the government because it's the best business decision. It doesn't hurt to own the government. Tobacco, textiles, it's all the same. Mm-hmm. If you have sway over the government, then you can do no wrong. It doesn't matter how shoddy a business you are, how you treat your employees, or how you outsource. It doesn't matter. As long as the government is in your back pocket, you can get away with anything.
Oh, of course. The government needs money to operate.
Guess who's giving it to them?
Yeah. The people with the most money.
Yeah. The people with the most money, and the banking industry, and of course the banking industry owns the insurance industry, and it just goes on down the line.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible problem. I'm not quite sure, how to sift through it all. I'm still sifting through it and trying to, think of solutions. Not a viable solution, but one solution might be to actually change the definition of corporations, or to actually eliminate the concept of a corporation. But I don't think that that's going to fly anywhere.
Well, the thing about corporations is, and I've touched on that before, about there's that corporatism that became extremely prevalent in the 20th century, in the later 20th century, post World War II. But and it came from war profiteering. That's where they all got their major foundations. Especially during World War II, and got kind of an upstart in World War One, and so ever since then the corporate model's been kind of based on this certain method. The interesting thing about corporations is that they always set themselves up for failure, because there's it's pretty much cut and dry throughout history. You can kind of sit back and watch that corporations tend to follow that. Well, of course, because they're so centralized, they get a cult of personality air to them, where it takes a CEO to turn a company around. And whenever that happens, you've got a human being there that acts in their own, not necessarily even their own personal interest, but it's not like a nation, not something that they can call home. It's a job that they got hired into or they took over. So they're naturally going to act as to maximize their profits while they're there. And what that does is kind of throw away a lot of long-term benefits to the company. So every company eventually ends up just destroying itself. It's
short business strategy. What it is. I mean, you get your money and you get out.
Sure, and that's worked, and it does work, and it's kept a lot of corporations alive. But if you look at the trends in them, like Ford, the big three up in Detroit, and various large manufacturers, especially. And when it came to outsourcing, now with the outsourcing, of course, the maximization of profit means you have to take manufacturing out of America, which they've done. But we can all see how that is eventually defeatist. But they don't care about that, because it's about maximizing profits now and strategizing to recoup them in the future. Mm-hmm. Because they know they're going to fail.
Right. What eventually is going to happen is those who you're trying to sell your product to are eventually not going to have the money to pay for it, and therefore your product fails.
Well, that would be true if there weren't progress. But that's the only reason that outsourcing works, is because, like I talk about my generation a lot, specifically within about a 5-year period, which was when I was in high school. It was so pushed on us because a lot of manufacturing was shutting down in the 90s because of the recession, and that was caused by the outsourcing of the 80s, especially, it began in Mexico in the late 70s. And then so all this manufacturing shutting down, so it was beaten into us that we need to get into technology. We need to get into information technology and computers, and it's the way of the future.
Every 5 years that changes, they tell the students, okay, this is the new hot job that you need to get into. This is where the work is going to be, and it always means that.
Right, and so that progress kind of bred an entire generation that couldn't do manufacturing. So then if we needed the manufacturing to come back, you'd have a bunch of people that wouldn't want to get their hands dirty. But the interesting thing is that, okay, if it progresses further to where we can offer, it's not that we offer something, but it's that because it keeps us pivotal, because of our IT prowess, it keeps us pivotal in the distribution of, in the advancement of the technology behind the manufactured parts, then we're still in the game. And this is what manufacturers understand about outsourcing. That's why I don't think it's a big deal, and it's not. I mean, it works on a global scale. Problem is, it comes back to bite you in the ass when we can't be progressive anymore, in so much as how can you continue moving the Americans, the 20% or so that our college, graduate and that do use that education to their advantage. How do you keep advancing this group of people up? Because everybody knows that the top of the ladder is the CEO. So how do you continue to have them offering something? So it's when that threshold is reached is when outsourcing kind of defeats America. And after technology, I can't really see anything else.
Right. Well, I just read in the chat room somebody said that the documentary Oscar had been given out and Al Gore won. His film,
really?
His documentary won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Al Gore.
Yeah, I don't know how to take that.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
What happened with Al Gore? I didn't catch that.
He won the Oscar for Best Documentary.
Oh, he won it for Best Vice President.
Yeah.
Well, at least he won one election. Gee.
Yeah. He had the vote of about 20 Hollywood elites.
If Hollywood was running the game.
Oh, actors, you know that.
Oh, yeah, actors, fucking commies.
Their role. I mean, they're playing a role.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's why Ron Reagan was so great in a lot of people's eyes, because he was so damn good. He was a B actor, but he sure did play that role well.
Mm-hmm. The great communicator.
Yeah. So,
even though he didn't know what he was talking about half the time.
I mean, basically, Alzheimer's, I guess, the last couple of years that he was in. So everybody else was running the government.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it wasn't just that. Even when he was lucid, I mean, he would joke about it. He was very self-deprecating because he would screw up his prompted speeches and stuff like that. So it's like, I mean, he was a great statesman. He really was, and a good diplomat. He's a bit of a numbskull, I think, overall, which actually makes a pretty good person.
Yeah, I mean, to be a leader, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have brains.
Right.
So,
which I don't think he was the greatest president we ever had. I'm just saying that you can admire something about him.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a good communicator.
Mm-hmm.
Every president has a redeeming quality.
Really?
Every single one. Yes.
Yeah.
And Bush is the most ironic, simple fact that Bush made you believe that anybody can be president of this country.
He gives people hope.
If that guy can run the free world,
but did you ever see Shawshank Redemption? Hope is a dangerous thing in this place. And as a matter of fact, I see it as we're all in prison. We're all in Shawshank right now. So
yeah, I don't mind digging through a drainage ditch.
Yeah, I guess I'd crawl through a mile of shit to get out of here.
I wouldn't mind.
Where exactly did you go? Good question.
Well, to get out of the proverbial prison, I think I'd go right to where I could make a change.
Despite everything that can be said, about this country, it's still our home.
Mm-hmm.
It's still our homeland.
I said that Wednesday to Sally. I don't know if you heard that, but I said, despite all the bashing I do,
I still love this country, and that's why it's so frustrating to see all this, because it's like seeing, your child, on TV snorting coke with Paris Hilton. Trying to bring back the reference, but it's that kind of thing where it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you live.
How is it supposed to be?
It's almost like a living organism, and then you relate that to kind of like Mother Earth, and then you bring it down to a local level, which is kind of the land you were born in, and the people that live there, how different they are, whatever. Yeah, it's part of a living, breathing thing, and it's in convulsions right now, and we want to try and fix it.
The country is very divided and ripped apart. It's more divided than I've ever seen it in my life.
Yeah.
And we're passionate on all sides. But I mean, the one thing that I am seeing right now is the finger pointing upwards from the vast majority of the population, where everybody's pissed.
Yeah, that doesn't go very far.
Yeah, the problem is that they're so busy trying to blame the other for the state that the country's in, that they're not actually doing anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's paralysis. I mean, this is what last time I spoke with John, what I mentioned, we're gridlock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can move. The Congress is all tied up in knots. And this is a real problem that somehow has to be overcome, where we have to get some motion in the right direction. I mean, we've been moving in the wrong directions in a lot of different areas, and we need to stop and start turning it around and coming back. But this gridlock, it's preventing some meaningful change to occur, and that's what we need in the country. Is the will to actually make some change. And there might be a lot of pain involved in that. I mean, with people.
It's the will, and it's also finding the right method, because there's, there are people like Ed Brown, and then there's people like, I don't know who else. I mean, but there's all these different strategies that you can use, and then there's the one that I stand by, which is a basis for strategy more than any tangible strategy, which is obviously nonviolence and non-participation. If you don't agree with something, if you don't participate, then it doesn't rule you anymore. But then you have to, but that's not enough, which is what I struggle with, is coming up with a tangible strategy in order to take advantage of that paralyzed system and try and steer it in a certain direction.
Well, I mean, the ways that you can do that. I mean, you're talking about protest before. I mean, really, it's visible opposition is what it really is.
Right.
And obviously, they don't want visible opposition. Otherwise, the media would be much more involved because the mass media, commercial media.
Well, my main problem with it is the how people. I mean, even the media gets jaded by it. There's just too much of it going on.
Right.
And if you're going to do it, then wait and make sure everybody's unified in something.
It's almost as if everybody wants to ignore it at this point, because it's such a big problem that it seems overwhelming. It's like, I used to clean houses, out with my dad for old people, where we would literally just get 2 dumpsters in front of a house and fill them. And you see this entire basement just full of crap, the pipes busted, and it's like 4 foot of water, and there's mud, and stuff has been down there so long in the basement that it's decomposed and it's become mud again. And you just look at it and you're like, I don't want to do this. And it's that mentality where you just look at it and it's such a big problem, and it's so, such a monster.
Overwhelming.
Right. So you have
people
to.
Are like, they don't know what to do.
Where I'm kind of coming from is that you have to find a unifying factor, and it has nothing to do with any particular grievance that any of these people have. It's something that's going to have to bring them all together. Like overall revolution, and it's
right.
not. It's like an idea, but it can't be anything where we stand out and hold signs up like a statement.
Right.
We have to find a common ground. If we don't,
right.
then it's just going to keep tearing itself apart.
Well, I mean, the very first point of order, and we've talked about this before, John, is, you have to identify what the component problems are first. I mean, that's the way that you deal with complexity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're dealing with an extraordinarily complex scenario with a lot of variables and a lot of dynamics involved in it. And I mean, to identify the core and relevant problems first, and basically decompose those into smaller solvable problems. But I mean, you need a lot of coordination to do that. You need a lot of people to do it, and a lot of people to concentrate on it. And it's very similar to engineering, to an engineering strategy, which is a very successful strategy. And it's taken us to the moon. It's brought us all this wonderful technology. So why don't we apply that same kind of problem-solving capability to something aside from technology and take it over to the actual human realm, into the political realm that we're having to do.
That's exactly what I'm advocating, and that's why. And I'm pointing out, using the same example, pointing out the essential problem with activism, which is they either are or aren't, really picking apart the problem and figuring out a small strategy to solve it. They're not necessarily doing that, and then they're also not communicating amongst one another. And no one's collecting all the information. No one's collecting any of the information if it's not up under their cause. It wouldn't do them any immediate good.
Well, I mean, there's forces out there that don't want any complete analysis. They don't want people to organize for obvious reasons.
Sure.
They retain wealth. And, so you've got a lot of things working against that. I think if you could get enough people on board and in an organized way to actually give them that problem, say, okay, here's the general problem. The United States is fucked up. There's the general problem. Now, what exactly is causing it? Let's go for these core areas where the problems lie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this group problem, this group takes that problem, and you divide it up again, on an overall basis until you get it down into small components where you can solve each of those small components in an integrated way and come back up to the top to solve the very complex problem at the top. But I mean, how to actually put something like that together? It's like putting together, a 10,000-man software engineering project or something.
Sure.
To actually do it. You need resources. You need everything else to be able to tackle something like that. It just doesn't exist.
Right, and that's kind of the way that I think, and that's where my frustration comes with activists in general, is that I can sit here and think that way all I like, but without the resources and cooperation, there's nothing
you just have to tell people that you're going to have to pick up a shovel and start shoveling shit.
Right. Yeah, we got to start working.
There's no, oh, well, I think this is wrong, and somebody should do something about it. It's always that. It's always, this is what's wrong with this country, and somebody should do something about it. It's never, this is what's wrong with this country, and this is what I'm doing.
Well, but we got to use Kobe's method first in order to identify that overall problem before we start digging.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to actually think first, and I mean, think very carefully, and identify and come to some sort of consensus on what the actual problems are. Because if you don't have that, there's no way you can ever solve a problem without actually structuring it first to be solvable. So that's critical. And I mean, I don't see anybody the Congress is a mess with this kind of stuff. I mean, they cannot organize. They have committees and all these kind of methods of dealing with things and all the politics.
But I'm sure they have great parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably do.
God damn it, my chair just collapsed.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little small heart attack. I'm all right.
I mean, if you watch C-SPAN once in a while, which I do, I'm probably one of the few people that ever watches C-SPAN, but you get an idea of how the Congress actually works and how it actually operates, the various rules and everything that they have, cloture and all this other nonsense. And you see just how stifling a process it is. I mean, I would just throw up my arms with that.
All right. Well, here's the thing. All right. What happened to our think tank? first of all, which I brought up a long time ago, and that's it's hard to get people to talk, but if we can do that and get together and really, chart some of this shit out, we could probably do something.
They already have external think tanks. I mean, they've got, again, like I mentioned before, like Trilateral Commission.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us.
Yeah, they're the good guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
As far as the people go, this is the way I see leadership should be heading. I mean, it should be like a John Kennedy kind of approach. Is what can you do for your country to put it back right? Go into solution to the actual people that are involved with the problems. I mean, this is the way a good company works too.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to ask them to not go with the government and not give to the government in order to make this country better. Because the government is what has corrupted it.
I mean, the government's going to draw the most retaliation.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in the people-directed approach, kind of in contrast to Kennedy, I understand the statement and the strategy, and it would work, and that's the way we got to do it. But it's also like, well, unlike Kennedy, we're going to have to say, well, all right, well, ask what you can do for your country, but that means your fellow man.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. I mean that's what I'm talking about. But I mean to have that kind of leadership and inspiration, that hey, we've got a problem, and we want to involve everybody in the solution. I mean, or as many people as we can in the solution from the home front, and not. Sorry.
A universal figurehead, somebody that can basically rally.
Now we're coming back into my realm, because we were talking about the political compass earlier, and I said I was a little more leftist authoritarian, and she called me Stalin. It looks like I'm your leader, boys.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't start up the gulag though. I promise.
as long as we stay away from genocide.
Yeah, I'm not the genocidal type.
Okay. I'm all for it.
As long as you don't have that Napoleon complex, we're fine.
No, I'm not a short guy. I'm 5'11".
Yep, okay. You're barely taller than me, so that's...
Yeah, I'm good.
However, I do have a short guy complex.
No real complexes over here.
Well, I guess it's the...
But yeah,
go ahead.
That's where I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Well, I was going to say that that's what I see as we need somebody that's more coming from the outside as an inspirational leader. I mean, this country needs some hope and it needs some inspiration at this point, and a lot of solutions. And I mean, I mentioned Ron Paul to you. I see somebody like that as being able to tie people together. He's an excellent statesman. I've been following his career for years in the Congress. Mm-hmm. He's been in and out of the Congress now for over 30 years. He took a 10-year, I think, reprieve. He's a doctor's physician, and the guy, he's passionate, and he's obviously willing to work with people, and he has more of a cooperative attitude than a dictatorial attitude, and that's what's really missing in this country. Is we need somebody with a cooperative attitude. How do we as Americans come together and try and repair this system rather than fighting amongst ourselves to try and maintain what we've got?
But I see that as contradictory because, as you said, we need somebody from the outside, and whenever I did talk about Ron Paul Wednesday, and I was talking about that very thing, which is, okay, he's got libertarian leanings, and he's in the Republican Party, and he's
just he's a constitutionalist.
Sure, but he's using politics to try and shape politics, and whereas that is effective, I don't think it's effective if you are literally part of that system. I don't know how effective it could possibly be, because you think about the power that George Bush has to change the political spectrum, and he doesn't. Regardless of all the laws he can pass, it doesn't do anything for the political workings and the ideas that people get from politics simply because of pop culture and media. So it needs to be somebody that works independently of the government.
Well, I mean, but
you're saying someone pop culture, you know? Yeah.
Well, no, I'm thinking Gandhi. I'm thinking Martin Luther King. I'm thinking somebody that just has the right words.
Well, there's going to have to be a lot more pain to have something like that happen. I mean, and I think we've spoken this before.
Well, another thing is there wasn't just, you know, Martin Luther King was fueled by the civil rights movement as a whole.
Right.
People have to get mad enough.
And Gandhi was fueled by the Free India movement,
exactly.
And so we need that common. But that's the brilliance of what Kobe's saying, is that we need that unifying factor. We need to break it down, and then we need to come back to the actual something to dig at, something that whenever you say it, whenever this person says it, all these different activist groups out there. He might not be talking directly to them, but he turns their ear. And they look at him and say, this is a guy that we can follow. He doesn't have to be a politician. As long as he's got those magic words.
A messiah.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's that messiah-type figure. Because you have the right words. It doesn't matter. As long as it's what can bring those people together and give them an outlet or just a piece of wisdom that they can use and apply to their own independent strategies. You know, it's just, and then that bolsters him, and then it bolsters more people around them to be self-empowered as well. I mean, the crowd feeds off his leader as well. It goes both ways. That's what a strong leader does.
Right. Anyone is inspirational. I mean, and by example. So.
But we got to find the problem first.
all the problems.
Oh, we got to find the magic words.
Well, if you try and, when you try, like I said, go down in the basement to shovel up crap, I mean, you have to, if you think of it as one large problem, then yeah, it's immense. You got to think, okay, here's something small I can work on, I can fix this. By fixing this problem, I have leeway and I have momentum to fix it. Slightly larger problem.
Well, I'm looking at it more as, okay, if I fix this problem, then by this method, others can look to me and say, hey, I can apply that method to my problem in some abstract way.
Right. Well, I mean, the whole thing is to basically have a think tank together that can put together all, have that integrated solution. And I mean, because fixing one problem doesn't necessarily repair the whole problem. I mean, it's just a component problem. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to be able to identify and articulate and define the actual core problems, and just the relevant ones, not the irrelevant ones, the basic core problems. And I see the Federal Reserve as one of those problems. But not by far the entire scenario, not the entire problem definition.
Well, let's set up a compound where we draw up all the crazy maps and stockpile food.
Yeah, like the Mormons, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Compound. And where should we locate?
Not up north. I can't. Can you come down here? I can't stand the weather, the cold.
Down to it.
I can't stand the heat because I'm a warm-blooded person. I need to have some sun. I like the blizzard that came through and wiped out half the country.
Well, I'm sitting out here. I'm looking at snow right now. So.
I'm actually it is. It's snowing out here too.
It was sunny and 75 here today.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, love it.
Well, I think the one thing that's kind of going to bring the people together more than anything is just information. And past quote-unquote revolutions, it was always word of mouth and some guy telling you down the street. It was very, very hard to get, any kind of information whatsoever on the government's dealings. Because it was a lot easier to destroy that information. But nowadays, if anything, it's a lot easier. I mean...
But too much information separates people.
True. But this broadcast, this site itself, is a representation of, what can happen. All good things start small. And just because things seem, unimportant at first, it doesn't mean that it's going to fizzle out.
Stalin.
They gain a lot of momentum.
Stalin, bringing him back.
Are we going back to Stalin? But it's that kind of thing where, you just talk to people, and you talk to people, and you talk to people, and you get people mad enough. I'll go back to the civil rights movement. It wasn't that, it wasn't much that, the African-American community was like, this is messed up and we have to do something.
Right.
We knew this for years.
It was a problem inside every white person tolerating it.
Right. And once that became the problem, once the Caucasian community, that's all once it just started realizing that, hey, maybe this is a problem, maybe we could do something about it.
Sure. Well, they used that to their advantage by just stopping business in Montgomery and stuff like that. So they took advantage of white greed. And good for them.
Look at the photos of the March on Washington.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually will look, like they'll show photos of Martin Luther King and whatnot, and they'll show who's around it. But look at photographs of the entire group as a whole. It wasn't just the African Americans. There was Spanish. There were, a lot of the Jewish community was there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my grandmother marched in the March on Washington, and she said that it was pretty much, well balanced as to who was there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that the African community as a whole got the most from the march, and because Martin Luther King was looked at as the leader of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the key is to get enough people angry enough, get enough people listening, even those that are, as pro-Bush as one can possibly be. Don't be confrontational. Just go up to them and just talk to them.
Oh,
don't be their enemy, be their friend.
Because what he found was that single unifying factor, which wasn't just that blacks are being oppressed. It's just that it's that unjust law and unjust men upholding the law.
Right.
So we must go after them because it became clear to everyone who was a minority, or even people that weren't minorities. A lot of white people were aligned very closely with the civil rights movement simply because it was unjust. I mean, regardless of whether you're even racist or not, you see that it's unjust.
And the thing about it is I have several friends. I live in Indiana, and Indiana is historically Republican. It's never been Democratic, ever. We've voted for Bush twice. This is, Republican heartland, to be perfectly honest. Why we aren't a part of the Bible Belt, I have no idea. But every other day I talk to somebody who is, it's not even about Democrat or Republican. I'll talk to them and they'll remain Republican, but they want to change their own party.
Mm-hmm.
Where the problem is that, Democrat, Republican, liberal, blah, 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 blah. The problem is it's always this, taking this view of this attack or us against them. It's never we need to work together and change things. And I think it's not, so much that we need to, defeat the enemy. It's more along that we need to convince the enemy that we're not their enemy.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
During the last presidential election, we didn't have protests in Indianapolis. Those of us that were trying to, get Cheney elected. It was more along the lines of, here, we don't want to be your enemy. We're just trying to tell you that this has happened. This is fact. This is knowledge. We're not your enemy. We're your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. We just want you to have all the facts.
That's where I am. I mean,
and it was probably one of the closest elections in this state ever, even for a Republican state, because it's always a landslide in this state. It always is, even with the local government. We always vote Republican, but it shifted slightly, and it wasn't so much that they had switched sides and decided to be Democrats. That the Democratic candidate was actually better.
But that's why we must restore power to the states and make this more of a republic, because it is regional and it is, locality, and so when you bring things to such a federal level and you centralize federal government to the point it is, this is what you get. Then you get a polarization of a nation rather than an independent republic of states.
A collection of colonies like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Where the colony can say, well, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah. I can argue the different, or I can, argue the same.
That's the way I'd like to see it again.
Well, another thing is,
for the first time, anyway.
I'd like to see the common man have a lot more sway when it comes to the government as a whole.
You would on a statewide or a community-based, regional. It's not even very complicated. It just has everything to do with if you live somewhere and you're born there and you agree with it. If you don't, then leave or try and make a difference, and you can do that in local elections.
But then you would have fear of the nation breaking up as a whole, because you literally would split in half.
Well, not necessarily, because there's such diversity. I mean, you talk about why isn't Indiana part of the Bible Belt? Well, it's because of its location. So you got Indiana up north, and there are red states, in the Midwest, and California's always blue, but everybody else is always red, and then down here in the South, it's the same kind of thing. So I don't think you'd create another confederacy or anything. It would be I think it would be, as long as the federal government was maintained. I mean, I'm not talking about total dissolution of the federal government, but it's kind of restoring it back to its original position. And if you do that, then the states would have no reason to secede from the Union simply because they had self-governance. There'd be no federal government saying, whoa, wait a minute, you can't do that.
Well, I mean, you have the limited central government, but I mean, just as far as the Constitution allows.
Absolutely.
They've gone way beyond what the Constitution allows.
Mm-hmm.
Or centralizing power in the federal side.
Absolutely. Well, I didn't mean to say actually, not having federal government. There would be federal government there, and there would still be the Supreme Court, but you wouldn't have state issues going to Supreme Court. It just wouldn't happen.
You're talking about like abortion and things like that.
Sure, because to me, when it comes to like the presidential running platforms, most of the things that they talk about are non-issue.
Right.
And that's specifically for the president or a senator. These are non-issues that they run on because it should be addressed in their local Congress and Senate.
They do that because they can be objective and stay away from the issue, like the whole worker program that Mitch came up with or whatever, where people coming from Mexico to work here, every 6 months or so they'll bring up a new issue of something that can't be decided by the government as a whole, that can only be decided as the people, because it looks like, hey, I'm talking about the issues, but they're not actually doing anything, and they don't have to. They just want to get the people talking about it, so they don't have to actually take any, responsibility in the situation.
Right. Well, that's why I always called the federal government is that it's not really two-faced as much as it is they take advantage of all that circus that surrounds things like that, but then they also they tend to take action when they feel threatened.
And it was funny, like even here in Indianapolis, there were protests by our very, very large Mexican community that this bill was going to be passed and they were going to be sitting back, and I laughed, and it was like, why do you think that's funny? And it's like, they're not actually going to sit back, they just want to get you pissed off. They want to make you mad, and they want to make other people mad at you for you being mad at them. They want to set people against each other so they won't notice what they're doing.
No, it quagmires, and that's why that's how the Democrats now have basically been absolved of their responsibilities of all their running platforms previous to being elected in and taking control, and
right.
that's their whole thing. So they quagmired all those issues. So now they've just backed off on every single fucking one of them, and no changes occurred.
Well, they're too busy fighting for power.
Sure, I mean now that they've got it, they realize they really don't have it.
Right.
There's nothing that they can necessarily do with that new power. So
which is why the presidential election is getting so nasty now, because all of them are fighting for the scraps when they should be working together. I mean, I found it funny when, Obama and Hillary started going after each other, when it made perfect sense that maybe they should have ran together.
Well, that's a twofold problem, like I mentioned in that video, which is, hey, well, either you get X amount of controversy over here, or X amount of controversy there, and then over here.
Well, to be honest, what politician isn't a little controversial?
Yeah, but a woman or a black guy. I mean, that's two firsts.
Well, that's the thing. They're counting on that vote to win them out.
It's not going to work.
If we have Hillary run for president, all the women are going to vote. But if we have Obama run for president, all the black people are going to vote.
But it just
splits. The problem with that is, I don't necessarily agree with Hillary or Obama, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, the strategy isn't going to work, and not all black people are going to vote for Obama.
There's this assumption that if they're brown-skinned, they'll vote for him.
Nope. And as a matter of fact, I think it was the NAACP just declared their backing for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the strategy clearly is not going to work. That's why I said if there were an election held now, it'd probably be Giuliani by a landslide.
Right. Well, I actually don't think Giuliani, I think that's a little iffy. I think people kind of got tired of him after the whole event.
But that's exactly why he has the vote, because they're tired of it, but the only memory they have of him is being a good leader.
A drunken clown could have led New York out of 9/11.
I know that. I know that. We all know that. As a matter of fact, Rudy Giuliani is very much like a drunken clown. He's a goddamn idiot. The way he ran New York was a fucking nightmare. But the image that's there is one of leadership, of strength, of unity, and all that crap. And the one of John McCain is, I don't think people even know what to think of him. So they're going to go towards the one that's friendlier. And what the hell does Giuliani know about running a country? Nothing.
Right.
Giuliani's so friendly. Anyway.
Well, he sees it as the next step up.
That was a lot.
It's power.
What a dickweed.
And that's all it is anymore. The whole political system is no longer about addressing what it needs to address. It's not about for the people. It's not about
Which is our advantage, because it's fallen into our laps. They're no longer addressing the issues, and it's up to us. And no one's, well, some people are doing it, but it's like we get right back to what we were talking about before, which is all these different things, and we got to find that unifying factor, because it's in our laps now. We can't rely on politicians anymore.
Right.
I mean, what I see is classic distraction going on here. I mean, this is political distraction with the presidential elections this far in advance.
It's why we have a food scare every week now.
I'm sorry?
It's why we have a food scare every month or so now.
Mm-hmm. E. coli or...
Oh, yeah. It's, all right. It's the same thing every year. I've noticed a cycle. I'll start with summer. In summer, it's shark attacks. Every summer, it's, sharks are eating people when there's maybe one attack all summer. It doesn't matter. As soon as there's a shark attack, it's all over the news. Then they may touch upon politics in the fall. Then the winter, it's always, how the bad weather is affecting people, and then they'll
Winter Storm Watch 2000.
Yeah, and then it's, food scares. They love whenever Taco Bell doesn't clean their onions, or whenever spinach goes wrong because, it's always something new to be like, this is what you should be afraid of now. This is what you should be worried about now. This is what you should be looking at, because we're not doing our best. We don't want you to know that.
Yeah, it's classic fear-mongering. And, I mean, they've been using that strategy for a long time, protect the children, save the children, all these other campaigns.
Which takes responsibility out of parents' hands.
Columbine was gold for them. They had material for the next 3 years.
And that absolves parents of personal responsibility. So no longer, it's all about everybody else raising your children because of all the goddamn fear. So then you start putting them in programs and buying, getting them in psychotherapy and Ritalin and all this other stuff. So all of a sudden we're a nation of bad parents and bad kids.
When I was a kid, they diagnosed me as ADD. When I was a kid. At the age when they were diagnosing everybody with ADD.
Yeah.
to be honest, what kid wants to sit through history class?
Yeah.
Just because I get fidgety in history class doesn't mean that I have ADD. It just means I don't feel like listening to world history that day.
Right.
I'm a kid. Kids have never enjoyed school. Just because a kid doesn't enjoy school doesn't mean they have ADD.
Yeah, but wait a minute. We got this new drug that dumbs you down.
Yeah.
So we got to give it to you.
Yeah, and they tried to have give me Ritalin and a couple of others, and it's not about it's about trying to get the children to be interested in what they want the children to be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
They never actually talk about world government. They'll talk about the past.
No, that would be.
And they never talk about current events.
Yeah,
history class ends during the second.
That would be self-destructive.
Yeah, I mean,
Learn the past for a minute, but don't learn what our government is doing.
I'm dying over here.
And there's another fundamental core problem. I mean, it's the educational system. When what they're actually teaching people. I mean, are they teaching them life skills and about the legal side of things that they're going to have to face? I mean, because it's insanely legal now. Everything is legal. And like you mentioned about the categorization of people into these different disorders. I mean,
right.
Kids 40 years ago didn't have any disorders at all. I mean,
yeah.
they were around in class. They weren't pumping drugs into them, and now, I mean, it's a totally different landscape.
Well, that's the change of, just the psychological community as a whole. The psychiatrists decided, all of this is chemical. Don't just throw drugs at you rather than deal with the problem. You can be addicted to any emotion just like a chemical, but you can control what you're addicted to. And, the problem is it kind of, when you get them young and anything is possible. I mean, I'm half African American and half Native American. And out of that. So when, I would switch back and forth from being, an inner city black kid living in the inner city to, spending summers on reservations with my other family. And it was weird to see, just how the youth were treated.
Mm-hmm.
When I was the Native American kid, I was around all of my elders all the time.
I was trying to explain that to Sally. Anytime I bring up like cultural differences, I don't think she understands what I mean by that, which is like in America, there are many cultures here, and people raise their children differently. And so when you have that, you can't there's no magic number that you can draw and change an educational system. You kind of have to gear it, not necessarily for the individual, but you have to...
That was the day I was trying to call in and couldn't get in.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, you have to take not necessarily each child into consideration, which I think is possible and should be done, but you can take into not only regional factors but cultural factors, and it's not just coddling. It's not saying, because he's this, then we should treat him this way. It's like, well, they learn a certain way.
See, the thing was they categorized me as a problem child all throughout school. They found out later that my IQ was 135. Right at base technically genius, but I'm not going to go into standardized testing and whatnot.
Are you patting yourself on the back right now?
No, what I'm saying is they categorize a lot of problem children because they don't learn the same way that they think children are supposed to learn. So that automatically makes them, problem children, and so they're, not psychologically developed, or, it's their parents' problems or whatnot, when it's just, some people are right brain, some people are left brain, some people learn differently, and the problem is, the school system itself, when it comes to politics, relies on the students themselves trying to find the knowledge themselves as opposed to them.
Well, sure.
Here are the two arguments.
And you say they found out later, but I come from the entirely opposite direction, which was I was tested early as a kid because I had shown certain aptitudes, and I got put kind of through school in special programs, being a gifted child. But I was always a problem. I was also classified as a problem child, and I ended up getting kicked out of the special programs, and ended up dropping out of school. And it's like, but they were always like, oh, you can do all this and you can do all that. But I was like, I'm bored with school. I don't learn this way.
Here, let me tell you a funny story. This is why I left high school and got my GED. Because I'm in college now, but this is why I left. I used to hang out with a whole bunch of the disadvantaged kids that were around my school because, I was that kind of person. I just liked hanging around with them. The problem is for disadvantaged kids that had Down syndrome, they were extremely political, and I found that hilarious that somebody with Down syndrome can be the flaw in George Bush's plan. So when they would get picked on, like there was this one kid named Nick who they would pick on all the time because a Republican community, and they were trying to get the seniors at the school at the time to vote. And this was like a while ago, but what ended up happening was he got mad and ripped down a Bush poster. And they had literally beat up a kid with Down syndrome behind the school because he ripped down a Bush poster. And when they literally had it on film, but apparently the faces were too blurry or whatnot. When you can alter that, but it was that kind of thing where it was okay.
Right.
On the other side. If it were the other way around, and he had torn down a Gore poster and gotten beaten up behind the school by a bunch of Democrat-raised children, I doubt it wouldn't have ended up on the news. It would have, infuriated a lot of people. It would have ended up on the news, be national news, and everybody would know about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the problem with the communities, whether they're Democratic or Republican, saying, okay, get to the other side, it doesn't matter.
Right, and we know no indiscriminate. In other words, indiscriminate punishment for dissenters.
It's frustrating because I try and be the anti example to things. I'm a black kid from the inner city that decided that books were a good thing, which is not supposed to happen. And it's that kind of thing where stereotypes even now, like when you think Bush supporter, what do you think?
Well, you gotta, there's lots of
asshole. Yeah, you get like this image of this redneck sitting on a porch in front of a silver trailer with a Bud Light in one hand, a cigarette in the other, and 5 kids running around that will grow up equally as retarded,
right, yeah.
Marrying a cousin or whatnot. And I think there's a problem with that, that stereotype and looking at it that way. Because, there are those followers, but there's also businessmen and,
Sure. Well, you also get the cliche of the SUV driving, suit wearing corporate exec that,
Yeah.
So
and it's probably narcissistic effects that, the other side thinks the other side is racist anyway, there's this separation.
But I also, when I was talking about education, I mentioned that there are those individual cases, and then I got into that, I think it was like a Zen-like rant about how it's more like, because she was like, well, each kid could be made smarter or more educated, and as long as you find the way that they learn. And I disagreed with that because I'm like, you know what? Honestly, not everybody has the capacity to learn certain things.
Why is everybody so against evolution?
It's just that's just the way it works.
Can we have dumb people?
Right, and they're there, and there are people that do not have the capacity to learn certain things or the motivation.
Aren't capable, and I believe that in the beginning everyone's capable.
Well, I mean, you're making a bold assumption there. I used to teach, and you know, and you're right. I mean, people learn in different ways, and the thing is you have to have a small enough class size. I never taught more than 20 at a time, and that was, an optimal size was about 15, because that way you could really tune in to individual differences in learning, and you know, be able to approach people in different ways. Some people learn better by, you know, actually reading rather than listening to a lecture. Some people learn better by just listening to a lecture. They can sit there and not take notes.
Yeah. Once I hear something, I've got it, and I remember it forever. You can throw a book at me, and I can read it.
But where I'm coming from is also you've got a matter of convenience and personal motivation as well, whether they have the capacity or not. And I don't care how good of a teacher you are, you can't get to them. And this encompasses actually a great majority of human beings out there that would rather just kind of live, you know, their life comfortably and they don't concern themselves with most things. And you know what? I don't blame them. If I could be that ignorant, then that'd be great. So it's kind of like, all right, well, how hard do you try? You know what I'm saying? Really, if you're going to set up an ideal educational system, I tend to be in the thinking that if you try too hard, you start to get diminishing returns, and when that happens, then you're expending too much energy into kind of a lost cause, whereas you could be putting more energy into the hungry minds, because hungry minds are a minority.
Right. Well, I think a problem with that is that, you know, the way the education system is set up, you have to learn this, you have to learn this, this is what's important, this is what's important, because everybody has to learn this. Well, I'm actually in college to be a graphic designer right now. You know, certain things I'm just not going to find important. I've known what I've wanted to do since I was 8 years old. Mm-hmm. The problem is there's never an outlet to say, hey, you know, is there a way that I can go into some type of schooling program where I can get into what I want to do for a living, what I want to do for the rest of my life right now. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, I could have taken because I took the GED. If you listened in middle school whatsoever, you can pass the GED no problem.
Sure.
It's disturbingly easy. There were people who had to take classes to study for it. It was the kind of thing where I didn't study anything. It's like, okay, this is biology, 7th grade. This is, you know, math, 6th grade, and it's.
I'm just saying that we've had generations of people that have been either more or less privileged when it comes to their availability of education, and throughout history, I think you've seen a trend of the same percentage of people that take advantage of it. So basically, what I'm saying is, it sounds kind of defeatist, but I'm being realist in saying, hey, in reality, there's only X amount of people that's going to take advantage of more information, and they're going to do it. So how much refining do you need to do to a system? Well, now, you do need to do a certain amount of refining in order to find those kids at an earlier age.
Right.
But I think that they're too few and far between in order to reshape the entire educational structure. Otherwise, you'd be wasting your time.
Mm-hmm. Right. And honestly, like I'm sure you probably knew a lot of people that had a lot of hostility just because they wanted to learn and were pushed away.
Yeah, sure.
When, you know, they'd have to deal with situations that they wanted to be heard. I think students aren't given a voice anymore.
No, of course not.
What I see a trend more, you know, where you're placing more and more responsibility upon the teacher.
Right.
And I mean, something more fundamental. I mean, a lot of it is cultural value too. I mean,
yes. Well, that's where I'm coming from. And whenever me and Sally were talking about it, she was saying that the teacher should be a little more accountable, and I'm saying absolutely the opposite, which is the teacher's there to kind of just fill a role. And they're not there to raise children.
Pay them more.
They're not there, right? And so it's kind of like, you know, it does come down to certain cultures and learning abilities and stuff like that, and you have to go out and search out certain children and pair them with certain teachers. It's not about making the teacher accountable for their entire classroom. You know, but as a matter of fact, I think ideally you would empower the teacher to make decisions for these kids. Like, you know, I'm not able to reach this kid. They would be, in other words, we'd have to have more intelligent teachers because they would have to be able to make analysis of this child and say they would learn better in this scenario. It's not a special class; it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this other teacher is known to reach this type of child more. There needs to be more evaluation of students because, you know, yearly SATs or TBS or whatever aren't sufficient, clearly. So you have to at an early age start to evaluate them and get and also educate teachers and empower teachers and school districts and whatnot to take these test results and treat the children accordingly. But have it in a cohesive system so that the kids didn't feel like they're being left out of anything else, and always have the flexibility and the freedom to flow between different learning methods.
Right.
I mean, there's, you know, if you have, you know, on a less standardized level, just on a personal evaluation level, if you have sharp teachers, they're going to be able to pick off, you know, who's who in their classes relatively quickly.
Well, that's why I gave the twofold
and how
to solve that problem, which is not only empowering the teacher but evaluating children as well, and making that information not only available to the teacher.
I was just saying that standardized evaluation you know, is obviously necessary at some point, but
Sure.
I don't think on a yearly basis. But I mean, as far as the teachers go, they should be a lot more savvy as far as being able to personally assess and evaluate, you know, students as far as their propensities and what their talents are and so on, and structure their education that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, a number of different directions.
The
But, I mean,
quality
you
of
still
teachers
need
has gone down.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, you need a basic core, obviously, of you know, some kind of core education. I mean, it can't be totally flexible.
Oh no, I just mean flexible in, you know, there will be core things, you know, with mathematics and English. It's just different learning styles.
Right.
And then so that, you know, it still can be standardized in a sense that there's a standardized test, but there's no standardized curriculum to be shared.
Right. Well, I mean, even again, you know, going one step lower, I mean, in the underlying problems. I mean, I see it as structured in the family. You know, I keep hearing the Republican Party, or I've heard them over the years, talk about family values. Well, you've got both parents in the workplace working their asses off, just trying to, you know, afford the mortgage payments and the credit cards and all this other nonsense. They're going half berserk and on meds.
Yeah.
You know, there's no real stability in the home. You've got divorces going on like crazy, you know, all this conflict, domestic violence nonsense, and it's a terrible kind of environment. It's not a stable environment for people to be able to learn. People need stability and security while they're learning to be able to really learn effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that as a real fundamental problem.
Well, most people. I tend to learn a little faster when I'm in danger.
Night before finals, yeah, that's... Boy, you're surprised what you could learn in one night.
Well, I mean, even like in my job, I mean, when, you know, sometimes a new problem will arise on some of our equipment that I have never faced before. I may have a small amount of knowledge in various areas, and I somehow, you know, if because it turns into an emergency situation when our equipment goes down. I mean, we're 24/7. We got to run, so you learn faster that way.
You're talking about problem solving now.
Yeah,
I mean,
you learn the way I learn.
You're taking basic education from your background and applying that fairly quickly to solve a particular problem. Those are problem-solving skills.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you've learned effectively, then you can do that. But if you haven't, learned effectively over your, in your formative years, in your growing years, then you aren't going to have those kinds of problem-solving skills available to you. So you aren't going to be able to adapt quickly to a situation. So I mean, that just shows that your education was sound. That you're able to do that.
Oh crap! I gotta get up and do my taxes tomorrow. Yeah, because I'm a college student. I gotta go.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
Nice talk to you. Nice being on the line.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, and we'll talk with you. We'll see you Wednesday, maybe.
All right. I'll probably be in class, but I could probably sneak on the web and try and listen to it.
All right, man.
All right.
Take it easy.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, are you leaving too?
Yeah, I'm going to take off too. My cell is getting hot.
Okay. Yeah, those things goddamn explode.
I know. All right. So it was great speaking with you, and I'll join you again on Sunday.
Well, you busy Wednesday? Well, you can call me anytime.
I'm sorry, on Wednesday. Where am I at here? Yeah, this is Sunday, Wednesday.
Yeah, you can call me anytime because we got to start working out the details of our compound for the think tank. So we can sit down.
What are we going to call that?
I don't know, but
we'll think of something good.
Maybe 26th of July, but we're gonna have to. We got a lot of mapping out to do. Once we figure out the problem, we're gonna have to go for it and start shoveling shit.
Oh, the mapping out is the hard part.
Yep, I'm willing to do it.
The actual work, well, it's a lot of work, but I mean, I've just been working on this piecemeal, piece by piece, little by little, and over years here, just trying to kind of decide what the component problems are, or try and get some semblance of what the component problems are. So, I mean, it's not an easy task to actually even analyze. I'm just one person.
Well, I'm offering you my help.
It would be nice to have times 1,000.
Yeah.
But
got to start somewhere, buddy.
It always starts with one. So. All right, so take care and have a real good night.
All right, you too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
And I guess after, you could call that a 4-hour marathon broadcast. Still got all my listeners. You know what? I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to come back and bullshit for a minute. So hang tight, and I'll pick you a song here, because I gotta, I must use the little boy's room. Enjoy.